everybody, Kat here. So today we're going to be talking about airbrushing. You know I love all things that have to do with airbrushing. So I found a very unique airbrush system. I purchased it off of Amazon, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now, quite honestly, this video should have come out about 5 months ago, but with everything going on in the world, it just didn't happen. So it's from I Beautee, and like I said, it does have a unique feature. If you want to know more about this particular unit, stay tuned. Doing the open box on this with I Beautee. This airbrush is a patented airbrush design. It does not have an on-off switch, so I was super excited to do this review. Now, this is not sponsored. I did purchase this on my own. It comes with a manual. The box comes with the cleaning tools. Very simple to put together. As you can see here, you're just twisting on the airbrush itself. You don't want to over tighten it. And again, no on off switch. So when you press down the lever, pretty much like you do with a dual airbrush, you can actually hear it's working. The light indicators on the bottom tell you how much battery you actually have, and as you use it, those bars will actually drop down. So I want to get an idea of what the air feels like coming out of the airbrush itself. Advertised as 27 psi empty load, 25 psi with water and or foundation. They state it's the strongest psi without it being charged into the wall. At high it's at 25, at low at 15. That's per the manufacturer. So again, just getting a feel of what it's like, just holding, a Kleenex in my hand. Type-C connector to USB is what the unit comes with. It's on the bottom, which I'm not a big fan of, simply because I like to stand my unit up when I charge it. Plus, I'm worried about water getting into that portal up underneath. And again, it's just not my favorite design. I do think that they have changed it, though, since I've purchased this. I like doing a water test. It allows me to actually feel what this is going to feel like on my skin, on my face, based on my lever control, which is very important. I keep talking about lever control because it is essential that you have it, and it does take practice, but I'm just getting an idea of what this feels like between high and low. So now we're going to get into the fun of it. We're going to test it with some makeup medium. I've got Ket, Luminous, and I've got some other ones here, Temp 2, Bellocchio, Tickled Pink, Balletto Studio, and then we also have Dinair. It's important to know that each one of these are a little bit different from each other, so it'll be super interesting to see how this actually sprays, especially since it has such a strong PSI. Remember, you control it from this button right here, and again, there is no on-off switch. You just press and pull. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Dinair. I'm not expecting any problems whatsoever with this. It's a water-based makeup. This is an airbrush testing sheet that I created for myself because I do buy a lot of different airbrushes, and so this gives me a chance to test the makeup medium. Now, full disclosure, I'm not going to try to be perfect with my spraying. However, I am going to try to utilize the same lever control whenever I'm spraying on these sheets, because I want to try to be very consistent and fair based on the makeup medium I'm using. So let's go ahead and start and see how this one is going to work. So again, not having any problems with it coming out whatsoever. Seems to be spraying very well. So moving over to the 3 square passes, this is where I'm going to do a single pass, then a double pass, and then a third pass. I can tell you one thing that I already know about this airbrush just from using it. It builds up pressure, and so if you don't actually engage it, you're going to get splatter like you see here. And if you're actually putting on your makeup, that's not what you want. So make sure that you actually engage it and get that pressure buildup out. And along this testing, you'll see me show you this several different times. Because it defaults to high, I'm actually going to press a button at the bottom, and we're going to put it on the lower speed, that's 15 psi, and we're going to try the spray test again, just to make sure that everything is working properly. So you can actually see that on the lower setting, I actually have more control than I did on the higher setting, and it's spraying out the makeup medium very well, not having any issues whatsoever. And so again, when I'm applying my makeup, I'm going to be using it on the lower PSI setting. So now let's try Bellocchio. Bellocchio is a hybrid makeup. It works very well. It's actually a very nice makeup. I like it as well. But because this is a hybrid makeup, it's a good one to test. Based on the fluidity of this makeup, I'm not expecting any problems. I will, however, keep pointing out the splatter because it is real. The one nice thing about this unit that I really, really love is that it doesn't have an on-off switch. But because of the pressure buildup, you're just going to have to be cautious about that. And so again, you'll probably hear me repeating that several times throughout the video. So now we're going to move over to Kat Cosmetics. This is a beautiful color. It's water-based, but it is a shimmer. Now with the shimmer, I'm expecting some different results just because a lot of airbrushes have a hard time with shimmers at a low PSI. So you could already see a little bit of inconsistencies there where I'm having to pull back a little bit more on the lever, which is not giving me the spray pattern that I'd really like to see. And when I talk about spray pattern, what I'm talking about is it being nice and smooth and even, not having a lot of hot spots in it. By the way, all shimmers are not the same, so your experience when spraying shimmers are going to be different based on the manufacturer of the airbrush makeup. Moving to Temp 2. This is actually their Aqua line, which they don't make anymore. I didn't have any of their SP foundations or their Perfect Canvas to do the test with, so no silicone makeups. But this Aqua line is actually a much thicker line than some of the other water-based makeup, so it's perfect for me to keep for testing purposes. As you can see, even though this is a thicker water-based makeup line, I'm not having any problems with the spray testing. It's spraying out just fine at the lower PSI. Moving on to Luminous Contour, not expecting any problems with this simply because Luminous tends to be a little bit thinner in its makeup medium than some of the other ones that I was using. So again, you can see it's coming out pretty quickly from the airbrush itself, and I'm using the same lever control that I was using in the other test. Tickle Pink is a water-based makeup. It is infused with aloe vera, which makes it a very unique line. I don't expect any problems with this one spraying either. As you can see, it's spraying very well. Balletto Studio is water-based. This is a shimmer. It's going to be interesting to see how it does, simply because we had a little bit of an issue with the last shimmer that we did. Now, as you can see, you've got that overspray with shimmer that's very common. you're going to probably want to make sure to use some kind of a shadow shield when you're using shimmer. And I am already experiencing problems with this spraying. Let's switch it to high and see if we get any different results. Spraying into the tissue, I'm actually pulling back on the lever just a little bit more. When I go back to the testing sheet, I'm going to go back to the original state of how I was pulling back on my lever. As you can see, I am having problems with it. And so I'm going to guess I'm having some dry tip issues. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the cap, and I'm going to clean off the needle just a little bit by simply pinching off and cleaning the needle with the tips of my fingernails. Let's see how it sprays now. There you go. Cleaning up the dry tip has allowed it to start spraying again without any issues so far. We're going to keep going. But remember, with shimmers, dry tip is very common. Additional issues with spraying. In order to get an even spray, I'm going to have to pull back further on the lever. Let me show you. Let's listen between high and low and what it sounds like, remembering this doesn't have an on-off switch. When you press it down, it activates it, it turns on. And on the bottom of this, you have your light indicator, which tells you where your battery life is. 4 is going to be 100%, 3, 75, 250, and 1 is 25%. I will tell you the battery life on this lasts a long time. Adjustment on the spray is between 6 and 8, with 8 being the maximum on this particular unit. Color cup on this airbrush is larger than what you would find typically in an airbrush for makeup, but it actually will unscrew off, so if you want to clean it, get down a little bit more close and personal, you can by simply unscrewing this and then screwing it back on. And if you actually wanted to buy additional parts or an additional airbrush for this, they do not sell their parts separately. Let's talk about the things I absolutely love about this unit. Number one, I love that you don't have any buttons to turn on. So you don't have to worry about turning it on and turning it off. You just press it down and it works. Brilliant. Love that. That to me is the best thing about this unit. I don't have to do anything to get it to work but press it down. So again, I don't know, easy peasy. It's just go and spray. As you can see, I put a little bit of water in there so you could see it spraying out. But it's just super easy, and because it acts like a dual airbrush, when you press it down, you're just going to get air, and you're not going to get anything until you actually pull back the lever. So again, for me, just being able to press it down and go was just fabulous. I love that. I guess I'm lazy. I don't know. Some people may not like it, but I actually really enjoyed that feature of this particular airbrush. So the second thing I love about this airbrush is the battery life. So when I turn this on, you'll be able to see, right now it has 4 bars. I haven't charged this for like a week and a half. So it's got, might be going almost down to the 3rd bar, but still for a week and a half, and it still has all that battery life. I don't know. Great battery life. Can't really argue about the battery life on this particular unit. Works well. For those of you who like an interchangeable cup, it actually has that as well. So you can interchange, the well of this particular unit to something that will hold actually more liquid. So if you're doing self-tanning or something in that nature, it's interchangeable. And for people who are trying to learn lever control, you have this little dial that can actually adjust how far this lever will go back. And that's also a nice feature on this particular airbrush. So what are some of the improvables on this unit? Well, for me, because I use it for airbrush makeup, of course, I would like it to go from low to high. And currently right now, you're going to have to hit that bottom button to go to low first before you go to high. So I would like that change. But I think, for a lot of people who are airbrushing and using this for a whole different reason, they may like it the other way. So I think it's really about a matter of preference for the individual. The other thing is how you charge it. On this particular unit, it's charged here at the bottom. And that is just a recipe for disaster, especially if you're in the bathroom and you put it on a wet sink. Then what's going to happen if water gets in here? The warranty is void and no longer good. So currently, the models that I've been seeing on Amazon is they have actually moved the charger to the back of the unit versus to the front. So that's an improvable too. Regarding the PSI on this, unloaded 27 psi, 25 with fluid inside the cup. That's what it's supposed to be spraying at. I don't have a way to measure the psi, so I don't have a gauge to measure it. I do know that this is pretty strong. So, as far as what comes out of this and the amount that comes out, and sorry, that water's out of there now, but what comes out, it is pretty strong for not being tethered to the wall. I can say that. But is it the strongest? I can't actually validate that. There's no way for me to gauge it. Now, this particular unit right here, again, for makeup, I would sincerely tell you to use it on low and not on high. But, again, for other people doing other things, using it on high may be just what they need to do, right? Doing a cake, maybe you want to use it on high. Maybe, you're going to be a little bit quicker. I don't know. But when I am spraying here to an eye area, I don't want it on high. I want it on low. So you're going to have to be careful and make those adjustments right here on the bottom. So did you catch it in the video? So I didn't share this with you, but I'm going to share with you here at the end. This particular unit is not the same one that I started off with. So when I originally got it, it was from I Beautee, and I had some kind of problem with it. I don't know, quite honestly, if it's something I did, but I will tell you, I'm so careful with my airbrushes. I don't think it's anything that I did. They seem to think that I got water in the bottom of it, which of course, voids the warranty. So there's no replacement. But because I was pretty adamant about not getting water into the bottom of it, they were kind enough to get, one of their other distributors to send me a replacement unit. So the logos are different. So you will see, because it took me so long to put this video together, that, in one clip I'll have an I Beautee logo, and in another clip there's not that logo. And it's literally because it's a different unit. But I haven't had any problems with the second one since I've gotten it. And I have been extremely careful not to place it anywhere where there's any kind of, water or fluids that can get up into the bottom of this. But again, they're changing the design. And so any of the new designs should actually have the charger in the back. But for the money, I don't know. I like it. It's not a bad airbrush. It's very inexpensive. As a matter of fact, the cost of this airbrush is probably the cost, or the airbrush with a compressor rather, is probably the cost of an airbrush by itself. So does it have a place? It does. I use it kind of like a secondary airbrush system. And I've got a lot of airbrushes, but this one just travels so easy that when I'm, mixing different airbrush makeups, if you will, I'll use this for the other ones. I keep one specifically to one airbrush line, and this one I'm using for the others for travel. So it works out pretty well. So wrapping up on this little unit here, the question is, would I buy it again? And the answer is yes, I actually would buy it again. There is one feature on here that I am just crazy about, and I'll be really honest with you. It's just the ability to be able to push it down, and it works, and it starts to spray. For me, I know it's a lazy thing, I'm sorry, but I like it. I like that all you have to do is press it and it sprays. I don't have to worry about it. And then when I take my finger up, I just put it down and it's good to go. So yes, I like that feature. For me, it's a win. Now the design, some of the other little things I'd like to see changed, but overall, the cost of the unit for the whole airbrush system itself is about the cost of a really good airbrush. So it's affordable in my opinion. I like it. You can use it for other things. So again, I would give it a thumbs up for sure. So I hope you found the video informative. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell because I never know when I'm actually going to post a video, and it will let you know when I'm posting a video. But as always, guys, thanks for watching.